Big day on Off and On the Clock. Last week, we drafted BBM teams. We've done Eliminator. Today, we are diving into another corner, a little niche within a niche of the Underdog lobby. It is the weekly winners contest. We're going to explain how this unique contest works, how there's payouts every single week, and how it requires specific strategic shifts that are different than how we approach these traditional best ball contests. I got John and Nez, aka the Badge Bros, here with me. Let's get to it on Off and On the Clock. All right, we're going to get Nez up here. There he is. John, Nez, Off and On the Clock. How we doing today, fellas?
Buzzing. I'm buzzing. I'm not going to lie. Weekly winners gets me excited. Haven't been in the streets a ton just yet, but life's good. And weekly winners is a great, fun format that's undertalked about, underplayed.
Yeah, 100%. I famously last year, or infamously, went 50% Anthony Richardson in the Eliminator last year, just thinking like, oh yeah, dude, like he was largely undrafted in the tournament. I thought it was like a huge upside swing, big leverage on the field. We all know the story. It didn't work out, but I tried to take advantage of that as the contest was closing, but I didn't like go back and look at weekly winners because I was so down bad because of that strategy. Found some pretty interesting winners when I looked back and sent you a copy of some. We'll obviously go through them, but yeah, weekly winners, like, nobody really thinks about it, but like it is a really fun strategy, a really fun contest to strategize over.
My two criticisms of it over the years have just been one, I've always kind of wanted a smaller weekly winners, like maybe a single entry or higher dollar buy-in, so you could really kind of get invested in that team and like roll it out every week in the same way you do your Eliminator team, essentially. Yeah. And then the other thing is just kind of like the element of it being a little hard to sweat. And I feel like there's so many things of like, oh, I logged into my account and realized I had $500 extra because I cashed high in weekly winners, just the way it's been nestled within the navigation. But like the contest itself and the concept and the idea of weekly payouts and all of that stuff, like I've always really enjoyed.
Yeah, it's crazy. When it originally dropped, we thought this was like the GTO 101 of sweat equity on a weekly basis. And then lo and behold, we got the head-to-head format of Eliminator, and it kind of like swept it under the rug a little bit. And it became that, like, as you alluded to, Pete, afterthought, like, hey, where'd this money in my account come from? Oh, I must have cashed a weekly winners team kind of vibe.
Go ahead.
No, I was going a different direction. Go. Sorry.
I was just going to say the flip side of that then too. It's like what we talk about, how when there's so much content around a certain format, how it gets really efficient, the edges get smaller, the margins get tighter. Eliminator, we're still in that limbo period where there is a lot more content. There's a lot of tools around it. Weekly winners still feels like the Wild West. Like even this morning, like doing research for the show, like it's hard to find a lot of stuff about it, which means if you're willing to make this your thing, if you're willing to be the grinder of this format, the edge is probably bigger than any of the other, contest types on Underdog.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And like, this is freedom to explore territory too, because I still don't think we definitively know the right answers just because of a couple small samples here, because I think Nez was onto something with what he did with like an archetype like Anthony Richardson. Like I famously was all in on Justin Fields the first year in this one and Taysom Hill and playing ones at the onesies. And that was like all stuff that people were like, what the hell? That's way ahead of its time. But you're going to see some of these winners and you're going to be like, oh, wait a second. Maybe it wasn't too far off with that gal braining notion.
Yeah. And the one thing I've been thinking about with weekly winners too, as it relates to the strategy I tried last year is, you could say for all best ball contests, drafting later is better with the more information. I really think weekly winners maybe has the opportunity to maximize that to the fullest extent, because that's the only best ball contest where you're facing the entire field, where you are up against a percentage of players drafted. So when you have that leverage of like, again, the Anthony Richardson example, where like half the field did not draft him, like you are now on sites he goes off, you're automatically wiping out half of the field. So we have a lot of time in this season to, let things pan out, see what players, creep up and become draftable for us. And if that player happens to be somebody that wasn't drafted for the first half of weekly winners, like that is an absolute jam target, because it's the one contest where we know we are like able to actualize the leverage as opposed to like drafting that underdrafted player and hope you advance.
Well said, Nez. There's one cool one that was going through my head, and maybe it's just because this lives rent free with weekly winners with me is, hey, what if Patrick Mahomes' knee isn't as good as we've been seeing in OTAs here, and we get 3 weeks of 5% owned Justin Fields to start the year there, like something crazy like that.
Don't tempt me.
John, I just need to check in with you. Last week, we did execute a timeout at the end of the show. Do you want Eggers to go on a 5-minute one at the top here? Or are you going to allow this to go down?
You know, Eggers came in yesterday, members only stream. He could have been watching So You Think You Could Tout. He could have been watching, you know, the end of Best Ball Breakfast. And he was there bright and early, bushy tailed. And then he said, oh, just a solo run from John, I'm out. So yeah, put him in timeout again there. No. Eggers stayed. He drafted the 7th inning stretch with us. Eggers is always in my good graces.
Yeah, round up things. How are things going in the world of, you know, NBA playoffs, MLB dailies, little state of the union, and let people know who for some reason aren't subscribed to the Badge Bros, what you guys are doing on a daily basis over there.
Yeah, yesterday was the first of 7th inning stretch drafts. So that's second half of the season MLB best ball. So that just launched over the weekend there. I don't sadly have any dance teams that got through there. I did get a big Zamboni and a regular Zamboni and just lost out on a third Zamboni team by 0.5 on like the last hit of the game. It was truly sick. There. So we'll be sweating some puck stuff. And then we're going to have salary-based contests for the single game stuff going forward, which is a lot of fun. We're going to talk through the puck stuff today and then talk through the start of hoops tomorrow. But we are going to have single game contests for Stanley Cup finals and NBA finals, which is something we haven't had for like the last while. So this is going to be awesome. I'm very excited about what's happening in this next week and a half or so.
Yeah. And then also, you know, John been crafting up some banger home run pick'ems as well. Almost got home with like a nasty one last night. He played 2 and played Willy Adames twice, but the guys that he paired with Willy Adames both homered. He hit one earlier in the week. So baseball's been hot. I actually like broke out of my zigzag slump. I was like plus $22. Shout out to Chris, you know, big time grinder for putting together the tracker. I'm like 10th in volume on the slate, plus $22 on the season. Then I finally broke out and had a nice week. So I'm feeling pretty confident in baseball these days. But yeah, we've been cooking over there. So don't sleep on the Badge Bros in the off season, man, because we'll throw some pick'ems for you guys.
Love it. And I think we should do one more final World Cup show next week before it locks, because I would like to get in and maybe get another guest. Maybe we bring Alex back. He was awesome, but it would be nice to jam some more there at the buzzer, I think.
Yeah, that would be helpful just for me personally, because I would like to get some more drafts in there.
I will be traveling world instead of World Cup next week. So you guys will have to make do without me. But yeah, actually, while we're in Spain, we're going to get to watch one of the games that they're going to have. So it's
good. Nice.
They're not hosting. They're not hosting, but just like, yeah.
Watching, man, I remember seeing some when I studied abroad and going to the, you know, Madrid, Barcelona game and just watching that at a bar there is just absolutely electric. Where are all the spots you're going?
Barcelona, Mallorca, and Madrid.
Nice.
Hell yeah.
Very nice. Let's see here. Yeah, so we'll go through some weekly winners overview. I'm sure a lot of you guys need the refresher along with us. We'll look at some of those lineups, some strategy tweaks. I compared some of the ADP differences between the traditional and the weekly winners just to see where things might be getting funky there. We probably have the similar kind of sample size issue that we did with Eliminator drafts, where there just isn't quite the volume, so the ADPs are a little more all over the place. And then we'll do a draft, of course. Anything else housekeeping for you guys here before we dive in?
I just wanted to hit on what Nez mentioned there. The site's actually, I think Chris is working on it right now, and it's not loading as promptly. But have you seen the UD tracker yet, Pete?
I don't think I have.
Okay, so I'm going to drop the link in the chat just in case anyone who hasn't been watching us has seen this. This is phenomenal. He effectively did what like the Wood was doing, but made it all free, public facing, beautiful interface, like frequently updating, like it's top notch. And you can break down all your MLB stacks. He's currently just doing MLB and PGA, but man, it's a beautiful thing here. Yeah, you can leave it to everybody else on their own accord to mess around with. All you have to do is sign up with an email address. But you can see all the profit and loss of all your favorite players on the site. You can see what their teams look like, what they've been building. It's truly a leveling of the playing field. And if you're not utilizing it while playing in these games, like, just crazy.
John, we put it in the private chat so I can.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Private chat, please.
Dude, that's the first
if anybody knows. Yeah.
It's the first reverse private chat of our career.
I can't wait for our first.
Dude, I was just going to say, I almost got like a little dopamine rush of being taken back to, like, generally when that's ushered, we are in the midst of like a barrage of pick'ems at the end of off and on the clock. I don't know about if it's just me, but it's like not loading for me.
Yeah, I think he's working on something on the back end right now, because it had been very timely and very good, and now I think he's working on something right when we're sharing it.
Yeah, I think he literally just hosted on his local. So
yeah.
Okay. Sweet. Yeah, that's awesome stuff. And yeah, I mean, we kind of could tell, that's one of the fun byproducts of all the AI stuff, right? Is we're about to enter a golden era of people being able to spin up their own tools. Some people will use it for their, own private purposes. Some will spin stuff up for the community, but I think it's going to be a win-win for everyone with how many cool ways we can interact with our teams and our portfolio.
100%.
All right, let's get this rolling here. Put together some slides just to get us, oriented here on weekly winners. The format, it pays out the top 2% in the contest every single week, which when you have 186,840 teams, that is not a ton. But what it does mean is that there are 17 weeks where someone will win $20,000 each week. So in the same way you could ship a BR for 30, 35, 40K, you could finish the top weekly winners and get 20K dropped in your account.
Yeah, I think that 2% notion is really important for people to just visualize conceptually, like how elite your ceiling has to hit to win on a given week. Like when we play the BRs, like we're going like 65,000 entries, 55,000 entries some of those weeks, and like you're getting like top 10% payouts. You really have to smash an absolute ceiling upon ceiling top of the mountain to cash in this contest. And I think that really should be the starting point for framing our mindset going forward, because you can have profitable BR weeks with like QB3 and QB5 and whatever. Like that's just not happening in weekly winners.
Yep. Let's look a little closer at the prize structure here. It's not just like a winner take all. You can see second each week, 10K, third, 5,500, fourth, 4K. And of course it descends all the way down. If you're top 15, you're still going to walk away with $1,000. So you can pretty quickly recuperate your entry fees in this contest with, a top 1% finish just on a given week. But like John said, I mean, you can have some banger scores and look up at the top of the leaderboard and still be nowhere near a decent cash.
Yep, it's very tough. And, I think that some of the winners from last season I thought were really cool because they applied some of the ideas that like I was thinking about that like we didn't see the first season of weekly winners, but maybe the frequency of what I thought was optimal picked up and we saw more winners like that. But it is such an awesome, like, week X is all that matters type of contest. So finding your archetypes of ceiling and stacking appropriately is really fun to think about here.
What do you like? As you talked again about how, going against the entire field each week, which is different, and some of that information advantage could be big. I mean, every week we, in a perfect world, right? You would just draft all of your teams across every contest, maybe a couple of weeks before the start of the season, but that is just like not remotely possible. So even let's just set aside the time box contests, which do require you to draft them right away. But of these contests that stretch the duration of the summer, and assuming you aren't able to, that you have to allocate these out, evenly, like how would you guys do it? Would it be perfectly kind of spread out? Like how would you approach it? In which contest would you backload versus front load more?
I think the 101 of backload for me would be weekly winners. I think eliminator would be close. I'm pretty comfortable stretching the summer with BBM and just looking for different like pockets throughout. So I think if I was ranking like the three flagships, BBM means the least to me of backweighted. Then I'd probably go weekly winners, then eliminator. I think those two are really close though.
Yeah, I think ultimately Eliminator is more important just for like surviving. But weekly winners, I think like it's easier to actualize the information in Eliminator as opposed to weekly winners. But I do think that it is still very valuable to backload weekly winners to know who are the leverage pieces in weekly winners and who they are and whatnot. So, but ultimately, I think Eliminator has more backweighted value.
Yeah, that's a good point, Des, with the survival aspect, because like this is a roars contest and the other one's a floors contest.
Yeah.
And I think it's easier to randomly spike into roars in the middle of July than it is to find backup third running back floor in week 18 that's going to help in round 18 that's going to help a team survive in week 10, like in an eliminator ass format.
Yeah, it's kind of like all downside, no upside for Eliminator right now.
Right.
But for weekly winners, like, you can serve, it doesn't matter. It's hard to actualize your money anyways in this contest.
Do you guys, because one of the things too people talk about, and it's the whole reason people love just drafting puppies and best ball mania, is because you can stay in the same mental framework, same ADP set. Switching over to Superflex can be like jarring. Do you guys like kind of bouncing, like, hey, I'll do eliminator and then tomorrow I'll do weekly winners, or do you like the idea of getting in a groove on a specific contest structure?
I like the bounce around because I think it reshapes our mindset, but I like it in like pockets of 5 or 10. You know what I mean? Like if I do like 5 to 10 BBMs and then now I'm feeling a little like stagnant or stale, okay, well, where could some new ideas come from? And that's by doing, 3 or 4 weekly winners, 2 or 3 eliminators, just to like then see, okay, now I'm going to reframe my mindset for BBM. But I like to bounce around, but I like to stay in like pockets of like no more than like 10 kind of vibe.
I'm a slow draft guy, so I just like I'm always like intermingling, but I do need to absolutely like tell myself what I'm entering before I click on the draft. And then like, and mobile is just like really hard for slow drafts, but when you're doing it on desktop, you can see exactly the contest you're in, obviously makes it a lot easier, but I like to bounce around too. And, I think it also keeps you sharp thinking about these contests differently and identifying different players, but yeah, slow drafts for the win.
Let's look here at, some of the ADP differences. I was just, having it compare ADP for, best ball mania and traditional in weekly winners. And the biggest difference was the tight end position. Almost everything else is relatively flat, but the entire tight end position gets pulled up, with drafters really trying to emphasize this idea of weekly ceiling. And it is kind of an interesting discussion the way, I just drafted a team with Neil on Best Ball Breakfast where we did 4 late tight ends, where Cade Otton was our first tight end in, round 15. And like the team looks good because we're not necessarily needing 25 points. We're just saying, hey, can you just give us the 12? Maybe one of you gives us 15 in the playoffs, and that's all we need. In weekly winners, 12, 13 points from a tight end probably isn't going to get it done. So do you guys think that this tight end premium is justified, or are people kind of overthinking how points are distributed across the lineup?
I think in a vacuum it's justified, and we'll see that from some of the winners, but you will see when there's systemic failure at the tight end position across the entire league for an isolated week, and it's the position which that happens the most frequently at. Not that it happens a ton, but 3 to 4 weeks a year, you'll see these teams creep to the top that have like 4 tight end builds, 5, even a 5 tight end build we'll see in a little bit there. So I think it's either you attack it with volume or you attack it with elite, and there's kind of no in between.
Yeah. I think I agree with that too. Like the barbell ish approach there. Ultimately, I think I sort of disagree with the overcorrection here of like emphasis on tight end, but I don't think it's like the worst idea ever. Like it makes sense. I get why people do it.
Well, and what's interesting, right, is then, you see some of the tight ends that are getting pushed up the most here: Kittle, Laporta, Fannin, Andrews, Pitts, Njoku. It's actually the mid-tier tight ends. That's actually where I get a little uncomfortable, where it's like, man, it almost makes me rather pay a slight premium for the elite tight ends than to actually pay a bigger premium for the mid-tier tight ends, because it really is like the Bowers and Loveland and McBrides who can drop 30. Like a lot of these guys, it's more a 20 to 25 range when we're thinking about their like true ceiling.
That's true. Like Bowers and McBride kind of go where they go in BBM. So that they are obvious, like no issues whatsoever taking them in weekly winners, of course, at the same price.
Yep. All right, let's look here at some of the other ADP differences. Even though tight end is the one that gets pulled up on the whole, there's some interesting movements on the quarterbacks. And I remember this happening in all of the previous years of weekly winners. I mean, even in Eliminator, when we did that a few weeks ago, we saw Josh Allen go way early, has a much higher ADP. At least in weekly winners, it makes a lot more sense. Whereas Eliminator, we know how potent the 3 quarterbacks are, protects you against the buys, the downside risk. In weekly winners, you're just like, dude, give me that week Josh Allen goes for 40, and I hope everything else comes together on my roster.
Yeah, very similar in that vein to some of the research in the masterclass there, where it's like it's going to be hard to be perfect, but you're going to be in contention every single week if you're playing the naked ceiling quarterback, right? It gives you a path regardless of, what team you're stacking adjacent to it and stuff like that. I think I'm a proponent of it. It also, another big thing that it does in weekly winners is it frees up a roster spot, because a lot more people go one at the onesies. So you can argue that, hey, that makes the devaluation of quarterback later in draft. So other people are getting quarterbacks at a discount that maybe you should be doing multiple ones. But when I am the one who is paying up for these elite ones, and we can go back to, some of the research that Nez had pulled out from the masterclass there with just like the scoring of how many of those upper echelon quarterbacks were truly needed to win BRs. I mean, they're the ones that can give you the furthest right tail outcomes and not have anything else needed to be tethered to it. And I think that plays so well in this format when you're chasing ceiling.
100%. And you kind of just have to play ball, right? The ADP is the ADP. So, if you are, just totally, not with the quarterback movement, at some point you have to play ball and draft a quarterback earlier than you feel comfortable, because you're going to be left with no quarterbacks otherwise. And yeah, obviously that's not going to work. So
for our audio listeners here, just to put some numbers to it, the biggest jumps in price from standard to weekly winners, Lamar Jackson goes from 55.9 to 36, up nearly 20 picks. Josh Allen, 31.2 to 17. Kittle, who we mentioned, 119 to 99. Kyle Pitts, 104 to 87. Laporta, Fannin, Andrews, all up 12 to 14 picks. Jackson Dart, another one who moves almost a full round, over a full round, 94 to 80. And then there's a couple interesting like non-quarterback tight ends, like Igbuka's wide receiver 19 in standard, but it's wide receiver 15 in this. I don't know if there's any rhyme or reason to those. I think the Kittle one is interesting to discuss. Just this idea of, injured players. And, one of the most fun things about weekly winners is you can kind of construct your teams to win at different times, right? Like I think it's viable to build a 0 RB team that tries to win late like you do in traditional stuff, or it's okay to build an eliminator ass team that tries to capitalize on the things we're better at projecting early season. How would you guys think of a guy like George Kittle with the assumption like, man, he might sink my tight end position the first 5-6 weeks?
Yeah, I mean, in a vacuum, I think the later we go in the calendar, I would be leaning to front loading my rosters and really using like the window of time in which we know guys will be healthy, and building out those teams that are playing for like weeks 1, 2, 3, or 4 with matchups that we deem that we like and maybe have some overlap and that sort of thing. And Kittle wouldn't fit that mold. Now, Kittle in and of himself, we know that he has like those upper echelon tight end one break the slate weeks in his bag. We see 2 of them a year every single year, but you are burning a roster spot. I think he'd be probably part of 3 tight end builds for me, and they would be 3 punt tight ends that start with him. But in general, I don't think he'd be a huge target for me this year.
I get the movement. It makes a lot of sense. Like you don't lose a ton of equity by taking George Kittle Like, yeah, you're losing out those early weeks, but it's not like you're missing out on being in the money, So it makes total sense why he goes earlier. I agree with it.
How much do you think, like, the Lamar and Josh Allen, they make a ton of sense. And I think if we're doing that, like, the Jalen Hurts, the Jaden Daniels, and those guys should probably be pushed up accordingly as well, because we know they all have that in their bag.
Yeah.
Pitts is a funny one, right? Like, how much are we paying a week 15, 20,
oh my God,
5 tax? Like, if he doesn't do that, there's no way he's up 20 spots here.
Yeah, I mean, that is the tax. I'm trying to find the screenshot that had it. What was the actual number? 41 fantasy points. He was also in another one of the winning weekly winners lineups from looks like week 4, and he only needed 15. So for what it's worth, we did see some spikes that he won multiple times last year. I guess maybe there's also okay. So I think it's heavily layered in the we saw ceiling in week 15 tax. Absolutely. I think there's also another like additive to it. It's like they have no other pass catchers on the roster right now outside of Drake London. And if that doesn't change, Kyle Pitts could just age gracefully. And we're pushing up tight ends. So it's like this trifecta of like why his ADP is moving. Do I agree with it? Probably not, but I can understand it. But it's definitely leaning by way of the week 15 tax for sure, Pete.
Yeah. Some of the other names, like a guy like Charbonnet is an interesting one, where that one kind of makes sense to me too. Like, if you were to build the backloaded team and it's like, let me scoop up, the thing is you actually want the value on it. Like, having to pay the premium on Kittle and Sharps doesn't feel good. It's like, I want to be able to get the discount and then say, all right, let me build a team that's like week 8 and on that I'm trying to play for here. The issue with that strategy is I feel like so many drafters come into weekly winners, myself included, and we're just so hard coded to draft for late season upside that you're kind of swimming, against the current, at least trying to find value. Like, it's hard to do the thing everybody else inherently wants to do.
It's also like a 7-leg parlay of like layering on top of each other. So when you're prioritizing like the end of season, it's like, well, what running backs best pair with Sharps at that point? Well, late breakout guys. So now it's like, okay, now we have to have a 0 RB team that then is now with back-weighted production guys. So now we're layering like these multitude of bets opposed to just being like, oh, we'll just tack on Sharps and hopefully he carries me later in the season in BBM. So it's a multi-leg parlay when you try and, because he really defines, like, kind of like the Kittle one, it really defines the entirety of your roster, that one isolated pick.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. As far as some of the players who are dropping that you can get discounts on, there's some of the like, perceived low upside guys. And I would kind of push back on some of these, but like seeing an Aaron Rodgers, a Fernando Mendoza, I don't think anyone is, dreaming about 30-point ceilings for those guys. But someone like Bryce Young, like, he, to me, has the volatility, and he's one of the guys on this chart who's 17 picks cheaper in weekly winners. Like, that, the knock on Bryce is the floor, not the ceiling. Like, the dude has shown some of those 30-point weeks. And then Jordan Addison, isn't that the knock on Addison as well? He's 13 spots cheaper here. Like, he's going to be boom bust, but isn't he going to give you a few, 25-point weeks?
Yeah, this should be like a target list for everybody watching right now. It does not make sense that Josh Allen is a 2nd-round pick and Aaron Rodgers and Fernando Mendoza go 30 and 26 picks later. That's nonsensical. That doesn't make sense. That makes like late QB super, super viable. And like John said, playing for those low scoring weeks and just stacking those guys up is like that to me, that like seeing this chart is like, oh, okay, I need way more of these builds with Mendoza and Rodgers on the team, because that's crazy.
Yeah, the Mendoza one doesn't really fit on here in my estimation because, well, Bryce Young, we did see I was trying to look it up right now, but I do think we saw a QB1 overall or a QB2 overall ceiling week from last year. I think in a vacuum, this is just a roster construction chart. It's de-emphasizing the need for QB3 effectively, and that's what's pushing down the value of it. More people are comfortable doing the ones at the onesies and that sort of thing. But if the whole field's going to play that way, this is the zig when everybody else zags kind of thing. The Addison one's interesting because he is the archetype of like a spike week profile, deep ball guy that you'd think you'd want. So that one sticks out like a sore thumb to me. But I think it's a roster construction chart in my estimation, that less people are forcing that tack on third quarterback because they're prioritizing quarterbacks sooner.
Yeah, and to me, like, it is funny how a lot of times, like, all roads go back to, kind of balanced builds in a way, but I can really sell myself on, 3 stacked quarterbacks in this format where it's like, if I have Ted Arroyo early, like, I'm gonna need the Bryce Young big game. I want to just knock off 2 spots. Like, it's going to be hard enough to hit this 8-leg parlay and finish first out of 180,000 teams or whatever. I have Bowers. Okay. I took the plunge there. Give me Mendoza. Obviously, same thing with Metcalf. Like, if I have those guys, I mean, these guys become really strong QB3 final round selections in my mind.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
Nez, you had put together, and I can get these pulled up. I didn't get them in the deck here, but you pulled together some lineups. Kind of tell us where you were grabbing these from and what was interesting about them to you.
Yeah, so these were on desktop, and Underdog did sort of like change, I think, the way that the results show up for weekly winners this year as opposed to years past where it would show up every single week. There'd be a weekly winner slate that you could look at. This season, it was only showed up in week 17, and then there was like a drop-down box, and I just don't think too many people went back and looked at it because it kind of like gave me some issues. So I kind of grabbed one, whatever I could, and 2, whatever I found to be interesting in terms of the lineup. There were a few, and we'll see them here, like a few like single QB teams that I was like, oh, hell yeah, man. Like that was like the original thesis, man. Like the whole point was, oh yeah, we can totally do single QB, and nobody really agreed. And I was like, why not? I didn't get it. This week 15 one here was just like a refresher of how insane week 15 was last year. I mean, I know everybody that played best ball can't forget it, but 240 points, by far the highest score on the weekly winner season. Just absolutely insane. Had to have every single one of these guys. Like this might have been like the perfect lineup other than Rashid Shaheed, but like it's just crazy how powerful all these weeks were. That 9 points from Rashid Shaheed was like absolutely like money.
And just so I understand, because like if people are looking at the screen, it says like 88.62. What is this like? Did it win a different week? Or are these points not lined up?
Yeah. So you look at the 240 on the right hand side there.
Yes.
That's where.
That's all the ones that we're going to tap through here are winning lineups, Nez, just to clarify.
They are, and yeah, they're not going to display necessarily as such, which is kind of what I was preambling with. Like the display is kind of goofy on these, but yeah.
Go ahead, John.
Yeah, they display their week 17 or week 18, I guess, score at the top there.
Yeah, whatever week I was on or something.
Yeah, and then the rest of the lineups. Yeah.
Yeah.
So just like I'll try to do some quick recaps here for our audio listeners. This first one we're looking at that scored 240.1 points. Lawrence and Hurts at quarterback, James Cook, ETN, Trevion Henderson, Keaton Mitchell, Algier at running back, Amon-Ra, Nico, Rashid Shaheed, Atwell, Higgins, Demario Douglas, Pat Bryant, Travis Hunter at wide receiver, Kyle Pitts, Kincaid, Evan Ingram at tight end. This is kind of like a Bizarro hyper fragile build, right? Like Cook and ETN were kind of middle rounds. ETN was kind of cheaper there. But I would say ultimately this is a pretty balanced build.
Yeah, this one's considerably more balanced than some of the ones we will see upcoming.
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
Next one, Nez, we have a 3 quarterback team that scored 198 points.
Shout out Chad.
This one.
Yeah, so Chad. This is Chad Maschke. This one here, 3 running back team, didn't need any of the other 2 running backs on this squad. I mean, Bucky had the out tag, but this is another thing that I think is like pretty viable, is just going like 3 elite running backs and calling it a day. This wide receiver room was crazy. This had Troy Franklin as the wide receiver 1 there, as you see. And if you can scroll down just a little bit, we can see the rest of the wide receivers there. There we go. Pittman and Malik Washington. So this was a really, really low scoring slate that you really just had to have, obviously, those 3 30-point running back squads. But weeks like this happen, I think, was kind of like the TLDR here. Like there are some like points where 11.6 points from Malik Washington are what's needed, and you don't need anything from George Pickens, Chris Olave, Jawan Jennings here from your premium spots. And I think it really kind of highlights the viability of yeah, you got to hit this parlay of like, hey, I'm only going to draft 3 running backs, and on the same week they're going to score 30 points. But it's totally in play in my opinion. So just kind of a very one of the weakest wide receiver rooms I've ever seen win.
And maybe like looking at a lineup like this, I think the temptation would be to say in your head, you need to hit a home run at every pick. And similar to traditional best ball, it's you need to hit like a few grand slams, but then you can have a bunch of singles as well.
Yeah, this goes really well hand in hand with the chart we just looked at of the punt quarterback style build. So you see, like, this is the low scoring week where no quarterback separates, and who separates? You had to be perfect with the running backs at the top there. And then you just make do with everything else, couple stacks in there. And actually the stacks barely factored in. It was only the Pittman to Danny Dimes stack that mattered there. So this is a good visualization of an actual result that coincides with the push down quarterbacks chart, like the flipping the build notion.
100%.
For sure. And I do think like this exercise as well, and again, really similar to regular best ball, like there's a lot of ways to skin this cat, and kind of what your draft room is doing, your draft position, and what you do early in the draft, like really dictates the optimal way to play this stuff. Like obviously if you're taking rookies, early, if you're on Jeremiah Love and, Carnell Tate and stuff, like you're probably needing to readjust your window to win, past week 6. I mean, obviously things happen, but I think you want to think holistically about what you're trying to do with a roster.
Yeah. And if you scroll back up just to the quarterbacks real quick, it probably like very little correlation here, but Danny Dimes and Jonathan Taylor and Michael Pittman on this team. I mean, you probably don't want to overfit that, what we see here, but I do think that there is, and we will get into this in a little bit. I think there's actually some benefit to stacking a lot as opposed to just skinny stacking and hitting the parlay. I think that overstacking is way, way more viable than people give it credit for.
Dude, that was our OG thesis. Like the very first show with Hayden was like ones at the one.
He shot it down.
Right tail outcomes, and then the overstack was like, and I went a little too far with it. I remember doing like a Lamar stack where I was like scrolling way down to like some of those dust ball, like James Pache or whatever the fuck his name was. He was like a special teamer.
Crochet, I think, yeah.
But like, you know what I mean? Like it's definitely viable in the same way in which we saw it viable in the BR stuff. And now you elongate the roster here and you go, oh, it's even more viable with more spots scoring than your traditional 6-person BR roster.
In my head, the reason I feel like the single stuff at the onesies, even though like macro, it makes sense, it does go back to the how many things you have to get right? Like you're most realistically only stacking up the quarterback with 1, if not 2 pass catchers there. Like if you have 3 quarterbacks, you're knocking out like almost half the roster, or, at least 40% of the roster that's correlated there, and just makes it so much easier for that cocktail to come together. And also, if you're going onesie, it probably is a rushing quarterback who can do it without bringing along a necessary piece. So you do really change it from an 11-leg parlay back to like a 13 or 14-leg parlay, which I think is pretty meaningful.
Yeah.
Now wait till you see the next roster.
All right, here we go. All right, way to set that up.
Dude,
Patrick Mahomes,
right on cue,
solo
man.
quarterback, 27.3. You got Jacobs, Gainwell, Bijan, Chase Brown, Jalen Warren. So pretty loaded at running back. Thin wide receiver room: Pickens, Dobbs, Metcalf, Hollywood Brown, Keenan Allen, Adam Thielen. Oh, Darnell Mooney, Alec Pierce, Coker, Leggett, and then 2 tight ends, Pitts and Kelsey.
Dude, no teammates needed with Mahomes.
Yeah.
What is this? This was peering into the crystal ball of what the sidekick was going to be spitting out all 2026.
This had to be Tyquan Thornton week or something, which there were a few. Really interesting team here. Love that it's single QB. Love that it like sprayed at wide receiver. This is like a type of team that I 100% would have tried to build a bunch of times last year if I wasn't doing the Anthony Richardson thing. This is such a sick team, man. This is awesome. Like this is how single QB is done. Like you get the luxury to take more shot. Like so many zeros at wide receiver, but like this is how it's done right here.
Yeah, this one has it gets the 3 high scores over 20. Like everything's balanced, but there wasn't like the 30-point nuke on any of these spots.
Nope.
It's funny when we do weekly winners in like our mind and we play fantasy football in our mind, like we lose track of what the actual week to week results were from the previous season. And it's like in your mind, it's like, oh yeah, someone just always had a 40 burger that broke the slate, or somebody always had. And it's really refreshing to like look at this and be like, oh no, man, you just needed more shots on goal to give yourself access to a 28, a 28, and a 21 there. And the reason he was able to take all those wide receivers is because he was not prioritizing quarterback in those spots and was not prioritizing tight end and just wanted shots on goal because we knew we had those roster spots to flex with.
Also, we shouldn't forget there is Hollywood Brown on here.
He's there, and Kelsey's on this team, but they weren't needed.
They weren't needed.
They didn't hit the lineup.
Gotcha.
If you do single QB, unless it's like Malik Willis or a rusher, like even with those guys, you should be stacking your only QB that you draft in weekly winners. Let's just make sure that is said so we don't get sued. It's like being like a fiduciary. Like you need to make sure you're giving good financial advice. Like you should stack the only quarterback that you draft.
Yeah. This next one is fun because we do get the mega nuke from the quarterback. It's a Bo Nix Russell Wilson team. Bo Nix goes for just under 40, kind of hyper fragile running back. Gibbs, Taylor, the 2 rookies, Judkins and Scatabo, gets 35 from Gibbs, 32 Taylor, 26 Judkins, and then a pretty big wide receiver room here. Keenan, Rashi, Pittman, Addison, Sutton, Franklin, Naylor, Thielen, McMillan, Keon Coleman, and then it does have elite tight end McBride and Hawkinson. So this is like a classic hyper fragile roster there. Get just the floor from the wide receivers with a bunch of volume, and then hit ceiling at the onesies, elite RBs. Pretty classic.
I want to give Mile High Pride so much credit here, but then you look at his screen name and you go, he just stacked the Denver game with the current Denver quarterback and the past Denver quarterback, and it's like, wait a second. But no, I think this is pretty good. Like illustrating an archetype of a quarterback that will not always be drafted as just in 2-person builds, in 2 quarterback builds, but has big right tail outcomes. And Bo Nix fits that quite well. If memory serves, this was the game that he had like 6 fantasy points going into the 4th quarter too.
Yep, that's it. Yeah, A1 I think shipped the dog bowl this week.
I remember that one.
It was absurd. It was absolutely absurd. But once again, this is essentially single QB, basically, and no stacking partners got home with him. So I'm not saying that we need to like not stack again, but it's just like really interesting the way that these teams come together. And it really does seem like volume at wide receiver is like such a better play than volume at running back, just because like these guys see the field obviously way more than the backup running backs do. They can catch a touchdown, all sorts of shit. But a lot of these like volume at wide receiver lineups, and I'm fully in lockstep with it.
Dude, my original weekly winners thesis was like you take scatter shots at like 0 RB back end targets because that's where good chalk on redacted comes from. Where does a 4K running back come from? It's the emergence of opportunity. It's easy to jump in. And what we're seeing with all these is actually you need upper echelon, like full 10K running backs in every single one of these. It's like, who was the high scorer that week? These 2 running backs, and then it's scatter shot at wide receiver. It's really shifting my frame of reference here because I was always, in weekly winners, I was always team scatter shot at the back end of like, well, Brian Robinson's going to have 2 spike weeks because he's going to have the backfield to himself twice. But like that just hasn't come to fruition in the last couple of years, and you really need these outlier running back scores.
Yep. All right, let's look at a couple more of these and then we will hop in a draft. Here is another single quarterback lineup. This one makes a lot of sense with Josh Allen. We also get another quarterback running back pairing as far as the Daniel Jones, Jonathan Taylor. This has James Cook. You get Derrick Henry, Omarion Hampton, and then Justice Hill, Zay Flowers, QJ, Keon Coleman, Debo, Shakir, Palmer, Bateman, Trey Harris, Pat Bryant, and then a 4 tight end team. Dude, Zach Ertz, Evan Ingram, Gadsden, and Waller.
If you scroll further, Pete, I think is it actually 5? No,
it's 4. I can't scroll any further.
Okay.
No, this This is Joey Bag. Is this Joey Bag? At the top? Yeah. This is the 4 tight end. There's another one that has one more.
Okay. So love this one, man. This is like, if you are somebody that plays weekly winners and you think that week 1 is like all that matters, dude, this was like a beautiful execution of that. Absolutely like nailed that game stack with Buffalo and Baltimore. Only wanted Josh Allen, paired Zay Flowers, got Keon Coleman's only spike week with it, like touchdowns or bust with QJ. Like this was just like a masterpiece of like, I'm going to win week 1. And I don't really give a shit about anything else this year.
Yeah, this is a masterpiece, man. Like this is the 2 highest total games in week 1. We obviously don't know when it was drafted, but presumably it was drafted later in the calendar. And you could see, even when you go down to the tight ends and the back end wide receivers, you know, he made a concerted effort of like Chargers, Chiefs, Baltimore, and Buffalo littered throughout.
In this one, like this kind of goes back to the Josh Allen conversation of, you know, is his price too frothy or not? It's like, okay, maybe it is, but once you make that pick, then you have to build the rest of your lineup accordingly. And if you take Josh Allen, you can't afford probably to do elite tight end as well and have enough elite firepower at running back and wide receiver. So what is this? It's like, all right, premium at quarterback. I'm going to punt tight end, and then I'm going to try to cobble together as much ceiling as I can. Henry, Cook, Zay Flowers, you know, in this range. I'm trying to think even what other wide receivers he was taking early. Obviously took Omari and Hampton. So yeah, this was one of those things where he's like, I'm going to prioritize quarterback. I'm going to prioritize running back. And then what's going to be my big sacrifice? Tight end.
Such a good team, man. This guy, Joey knew exactly what he was doing. It's just so cool to see it like come to fruition. He had such a clear plan here.
Another solo quarterback team here, a Caleb Williams with like an anchor running back team, CMC, along with Rico, Trevion Henderson, Bill, Tank Bigsby, Judkins, has a couple high-end wide receivers here, Higgins, DJ Moore, Igbuka, Rome, along with Lane, Iomanor, Thielen, and Tillman, all of which in my mind were pretty much zeros for all of last year. And then a really nice tight end room, the Brock Bowers and Colston Loveland, along with Jatavian Sanders, but both of those guys hit the lineup with a tight end in the flex here.
Yeah, beautiful archetype of right tail outcomes for an offense that wasn't getting treated like it was upper echelon. You know what I mean? Like it was kind of like, you want to stack Bears, they were probably everybody's 7th favorite stack or whatever, but you treat it like it's your 1-0-1. And I'm not going to give the guy enough. It was Joe, right, who had this one?
Not
Good
this
player.
one.
Oh, not this.
Oh no, yeah, Joe
Joe,
Rudiger. Sorry,
yeah.
I was thinking Joey Bag of Donuts from the last lineup.
No, Joe's a good player. So like, I'm not going to give him like full credit that he went and was like, hey, week 9 is my target here because CMC at Giants and I see a shootout for Bears Bengals. I think it's more of just like a macro mindset of like, okay, not everybody's going to build out super onslaught stacks for mid-tier offenses. People are going to build out the onesies with the Mahomes, the Lamars, the whatever. No one's really going to do it with Caleb. Let me be the Caleb onesies guys and then fill the rest of it out.
Yep. And I just love this single QB team, and he stacked the hell out of Caleb with it too. Like Rome, I think, was out this week, but DJ Moore and Loveland obviously stepped up. And it looks like 2 elite tight ends, but you know, obviously I think we all remember Loveland was not an expensive pick last season for best ball, relatively speaking. But I think the takeaway from this are 2 things. Like one, just like single QB, so viable, like, and we finally see it stacked. And that like doing 2 elite tight ends. Well, this isn't 2 elite tight ends, but like two tight ends can't hit your flex. So to me, like single tight end just like doesn't really make sense. You don't have to do that, you know, like you can, like you are so much better off drafting like a 2nd or 3rd tight end, even when you have Bowers or McBride this year, because those guys can hit your flex. So like, you don't need to like pigeonhole yourself at tight end, but QB makes much more sense because obviously you're only starting 1.
Nice.
Yeah. Yep. And again, you do get some pretty big correlation here on this one. I mean, this is an Omega Bear stack with like legit premium pieces. I mean, basically the entire passing game, DJ Moore, Rome, and Loveland there. This also being a late season one, right? Because Colston Loveland was not putting up these kind of numbers early, but then you get that 26.8 and it hits the flex there. Pretty incredible stuff with how bad this wide receiver room is. And like, to me, this one points to the power of correlation, getting you on that Chicago-Cincinnati explosion game where you, for what, the price of one stack, essentially, you get 37 from Caleb, 20 from DJ Moore, and 26 from Loveland.
Yeah, and 29 on the bring back with T. Higgins.
Oh, there you go. There you go. And like T. Higgins, again, I don't know if this person was specifically stacking up this week, but that is another fun thing. You know, I remember when I did my video, and it's been so long since I've done it, and I'm blanking on his name. I believe it was Michael. He had the username Win.
Yeah, he's still out here.
He had the idea of kind of looking at the schedules early on, strength of schedule, buys, really trying to kind of triangulate where your strengths were. He really focused his strategy on front loading, getting off to fast starts, just because he did think the market was undervaluing it. But if you really want to have some fun and put your finger on the scale and pick a few weeks, you want to have your week 8 is all that matters drafts. Like, it is a really fun way to build some, because obviously you're still live for other stuff, but you can maybe be like, I just want to pick on this Bengals secondary, and I want to find a few of the spots where I can really do that. It's kind of a cool way to approach some drafts.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm trying to think like I'm trying to think the week of the highest total game last year. Like
maybe week 15. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I was just trying to like reverse engineer for like what we could do in the schedule this time. Like, you know how like you get that one Rams Chiefs game that one time and like build around that being the game.
We can try to do that on the fly.
Yeah.
I'll look at some schedule stuff while we draft.
Yeah, I do think it's like, what would be the factors you'd be looking for? I'd want to be targeting one of the worst defenses in the league. I'd want the game to be in a dome and not have any weather concerns. Ideally, I probably want it to be early season, just so the amount of variables I'm trying to control for is smaller, and see if you can really hit lightning in a bottle.
Last year's most points in a game was Detroit Lions laying it on thick on the Bears, 52-21, September 14th.
Okay, so early season there. Yep, and I assume was that at Ford Field?
Let me bring up the actual score. I just used AI to be lazy.
What's it? Yeah, good.
It was at home versus Chicago. Yeah,
there you go. And that would be another qualifier. If you were drawing this up, I'd want it to be one of these teams who has shown a propensity for running up the score. The Lions are always a good one. I would say the Niners, to me, strike me as a team who will often not take their foot off the gas, explosive offense. Even the kind of like late season Liam Cohen Jags, I thought started to kind of take on this mold a little bit. So yeah, I think you could kind of feather in a few of those, variables and see if you could find a couple spots to target. I mean, I don't think you'd ever want to construct your entire portfolio with that level of specificity, but just as an experiment and as a fun way to build, I can't knock it.
Yeah. Nez, it was all in season results for 17 where you found all these?
Yep. Yeah, it just lives in that final weekly winners week, and then, or it says week 12. There's a drop down for different weeks. Week 13, I couldn't pull up the contest. Like it just didn't pull up any new lineups. But yeah, and then like the display is kind of wonky. Like you see, it says this week, but in reality, this is the winner for the week that they did win of week 12 of 208. Yeah, I think this team I shared just because it was funny that Devin Neal hit the flex at 8 points, and I'm not sure what's at tight end here. But this was I just saw a funny looking team. I'm pretty sure that's my thesis there.
Yeah. This last one, a Hurts, Love, Gibbs, ETN, Neal, Rashad White, a Damian Martinez sighting. What a world. James Conner. Really? Oh, this is your 5 tight end team. Yes. Hunter Henry, Tyler Ward, Harold Fannin, Dallas Goedert, Dalton Kincaid. I would say every one of these lineups I've looked at and I'm like, okay, maybe I could have gotten on that. I see the vision. I don't know if I'm ever getting to a 5 tight end team with Tyler Warren on it, who is, I guess these were all after pick 100, but your wide receivers, JSN, Pickens, AJ Brown, Cooper Kupp, Cortland Sutton. This one's a fever dream.
Non-zero chance. This guy auto-drafted and has not logged back into his account since.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like this is
Nice.
this is insane. Nobody drafts
So
5
good.
tight ends on purpose.
Wow. Okay, I got to share this now. This is crazy. So that week where you get the 51 to whatever game, the winner of weekly winners for that week only scored 195 points and didn't have anyone from that game.
Whoa.
Unless I'm tripping here.
See, I'm not sure.
Okay, let's see. I'll give it a refresh again because okay, so if I change to week 4 score here. Okay.
Wait, what week did they play?
Here, week 2. Here, bring me
Oh,
up for a second, Pete. I got it open on Underdog here.
Okay, here you go.
Okay, so looking through this, so that's the week 4 leaderboard. So week 2 was when they played.
See, it doesn't refresh.
Okay, let's see.
Sometimes like it's stuck here. So, Numi or Debs, if you're watching, we can't look at our beloved weekly winners results accurately.
Yeah, that's why I was messing around with it a second here. Okay, let's just go straight to week 2 and see if it refreshes this time.
Okay.
There we go. Okay.
Oh,
Got
Amon Ra would definitely be in this lineup. He went
Okay,
115 with 3 TDs.
Okay.
Yeah.
There he
So
is.
now we got the correct leaderboard. Now it's less crazy. But yeah, you get the Goff. He didn't have Gibbs with it. James Cook in another winning lineup here. And then you get the nuke 3 wide receiver game. You get Rome on the bring back.
Well,
with
JMO, it's the double.
And the JMO. Wow. Yeah. JMO
Dude,
hit
so
the
you had-
flex too.
You had Amon Ra 9, 115, 3, JMO 2 receptions for 108 and 1. What a JMO ass line, dude. That's
Dude, look at
crazy
that. Let's
over there.
go, J-Mo.
And then Rome, that had to bet his best game of the year, 7 for 128 and 2. So he just perfectly nailed the double stack and bring back.
Dude,
Awesome.
overstacking works, man. Overstacking works.
Yep. And I think, yeah, that's like one of the big takeaways for me from reviewing these is I think there's a tendency to be like, let me hit the nuts at every position. And it's like, it's still good to get less things right with correlation.
Yeah, and even some of them were from offenses that we wouldn't have necessarily been pounding the table to overstack. Like we could have seen the vision with the Bears with Ben Johnson and the talent that they had, but like Detroit for sure. But I'm not sure anybody would have advocated for the double stack Bo Nix, and you didn't need the pass catchers when it was all said and done. But I'm not sure anybody would have been pounding the table early weekly winners to be like, hey, double stack Bo Nix or whatever.
No.
Yep.
No, and again, too, like, the Bo Nix stacks were pretty cheap, right? Like if you were doing the Franklin, the Pat Bryant, like those guys were available late, the Goff stacks, like you had to pay a premium for Amon Ra. You had to pay a premium for JMO. Rome was expensive, and it's a tighter needle to thread. When you pay those prices, you need the ceiling. But the beauty of weekly winners is all you have to do is thread that needle 1 week. It's not like you need those prices to pay off week over week through a pod gauntlet.
Exactly.
What do we got here, John?
It's schedule hunting season, so I'll be looking through this as we draft on the other side. But I was just thinking about those upper echelon weeks there and some big favorites or some overlaps, that sort of thing. Like Rams, Niners, that kind of sticks out to be kind of fun. Chargers have like huge favorites the first 2 weeks of the season. They're like 11-point favorites in both of these games versus Arizona and versus Vegas, and then you get a shootout potential at Buffalo there. So that Chargers kind of stick out to me. But yeah, we can look through this as we rip.
Not gonna lie, I kind of hoped that you didn't realize you were still screen sharing and you had just tabbed over to something naughty there, but that it just ended up being the schedule release, which is kind of naughty in its own way.
I'm a professional, Pete. I would never make those mistakes.
All right, you guys want to draft a weekly winners team, see how it goes?
Absolutely.
I did throw in ETR does have weekly winners ranks, so I thought it'd just be fun to toss those in there. We can kind of toggle back and forth, see where maybe they deviate from ADP a little bit there as well. 8 more though.
Awesome.
You guys can join us in our first or my first at least weekly winner draft. Have either of you guys done any?
Yeah, I've done 3. One, I did actually draft by myself, no tools. The second one auto drafted because I forgot about it, but it actually drafted a good team. And then the third one I did was the sidekick because I wanted to see what the simulations were saying about what makes sense for a weekly winners team.
What did you learn from that? Speak of the devil, shady advice in this one.
Hello, Shady. Yeah, so it drafted me a 2-5-8-3. My quarterbacks were Bo Nix and CJ Stroud. Tight ends, Bowers, Schultz, and Ingram. So Ingram, it liked that stack with Bo Nix. Bo Nix is stacked with Jalen Waddle and Pat Bryant here. CJ Stroud obviously stacked with Schultz. He's also stacked with Nico Collins and Tank Dell, of course.
Double overstack, man.
Yeah, if you use the sidekick, you're going to get Tank Dell. And then the running back room, pretty balanced. I rolled a Bijan team with Tootin, Tony Pollard, Monangai, and Sampson. And then the wide receivers, I mentioned the stacks that I have, but the whole wide receiver room is Nico, Ladd McConkey, Jalen Waddle, Dubs, Wandale, Tank Dell, Ridley, and Pat Bryant. Honestly, it looks like the best ball teams that they draft for you if you use the sidekick, just like way more stacking.
Cool.
Yeah. Interesting. There is Shady in the chat. Heard he was going around giving 100 gifted memberships to every stream he tapped into today.
Dude.
It was just wild, but what a legend.
Dude, went around and tried to get Chad to burn his house down. It was insane. 100 gifted memberships to Chad Candles, who lights a mini candle for every gifted membership he gets.
I was worried Chad was going to burn my house down last night, so it's nice that he was focusing on his house. On the clock here, James Cook, CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, Genty, Barkley. I'm up for whatever here, fellas. We want to get the wide receiver, like in the running back coming back?
Yeah, probably. I think CD.
I'm cool with
CD's
CD.
fun.
Yep.
Yeah, so CD,
Yeah, sorry, I didn't say anything
14
there.
bye. So that does, maybe start to push us at least in a direction to try to optimize early here.
Yeah.
This Dallas schedule is pretty fun too. At Giants, Commanders, Baltimore. Then you get the Texans game, which is meh. But then you get Tampa Bay, Green Bay, and the Eagles and Arizona. Like they got some fun games to start the year, I think.
Can you send me that link too, and I'll throw it up in my other tab, and we can toggle back and forth between that. Private chat, please.
It's just like a image. I'll drop it in the Discord for you.
Oh yeah. I knew you were doing something naughty over there with that image. All right, there goes Josh Allen at pick 13. And we do have like the really nice set of running backs here. HN week 6, Henry week 13, Walker week 5. I would say like a Henry week 13.
Henry or
would be good.
Walker.
Yeah.
I like the big dog.
Yeah, let's lean into this like punt bye weeks late, at least with these premium guys, and try to play some early season maxing here.
We also have a week 3 correlation with Dallas for Baltimore, and Baltimore starts at Indianapolis, New Orleans, Dallas, Tennessee, Atlanta. Like they could have some fun games too.
Sweet. All right. Yeah, we got the schedule. Where did you get these, John? If enterprising young individuals want to track these down for their fridge and or desktop needs.
I retweeted them both on the X machine a while ago when they came out. I think one's from Kyle Borg. That one's from Kyle Borg from Fantasy Footballers. And then the other one is just kind of like the standard schedule grid that goes around.
Do we care about spreads? Like I'm trying to think about like for weekly winners. I guess if you're doing a bring back, I don't know.
I think it's just like nice contextual visualization to be like, oh yeah, they're actually mathematically favorites right now. Like I think we can do that bro science math in our heads at time, but I think it's nice to put a little context to it once in a while to just be like, oh, okay.
Yeah. And it's like a good reality check too if you are maybe overstacking the Cardinals for early season production and see that they are just not expected to do well whatsoever for basically 13 weeks.
Yeah.
Rough. But look at that playoff schedule, baby. Things finally look up in 15, 16, and 17.
There we go. All All right, let's see here. Derrick Henry, CeeDee Lamb is how we start. Trying to see what other kind of quirks we get here. Shady did the Genty Bowers start from the 12, which is funny because people were talking about that on Best Ball Breakfast yesterday. I didn't love it for Best Ball Mania. I hadn't really thought through it through a weekly winners lens. I guess it kind of dovetails with that Jared Goff double that we looked at, like get the premium pieces. I guess the question with the Raiders is like, are they a team that can score, 40 points? But is it like the binary ping pong thing almost with the quarterback and the running back too, where it's like, if this offense is competent and the offense is fully concentrated around these two, which looking at the rest of their skill position players, it seems like it will be like, are you going to get the 30-point Genty week or the 20-point Bowers week? And you're excited about what that brings to your lineup.
Yeah. They're favorites in week 1 and the first 3 weeks look kind of fun. Like I was shocked to see Vegas is favorites in week 1. They get Miami, which is a home game, and then they get a dome game, and then in the Chargers and New Orleans, and then you get a KC game too.
That's a really fun start.
And you get a contrarian start, and your quarterback to tack on late if you want to is free.
Yeah. Yep. I like that start.
All right, back on the clock here. Really like the week 13 Breece Hall or week 11 Kyren on this team.
Yeah, I'm good with either. So Breece seems good. Kyren feels pretty good early in the season. I don't know. I was listening to Levin Silva the other day, and it was actually, I don't know if I'm becoming a boomer or a ball knower because so many of my early season takes aligned with Silva when he started dropping his ADP difference. I was like, yeah, I'm a fucking lag guy. Yeah, I'm a Keaton Mitchell guy, bro. Keep spitting. And I was like, dude, man, maybe I'm just getting old.
Dude, there was that same conversation transpired in the ship chasing Discord after that episode. There were multiple people who were like, I'm shocked how much I'm agreeing with Silva. And people couldn't tell, has Silva changed or have we all just grown into boomer fantasy players?
Yeah,
people
that's
boomers,
so funny.
Man. The sharps are now boomers. Like the boomers were always right.
Dudes, should we do Lamar here? Do the Lamar Derrick Henry thing and try to like ping pong the negatively correlated outcomes at this price?
John would be a fraud if he didn't pound the table for Lamar here.
Yeah, I would be a fraud. So I'm all in on this Lamar pick. I'm also a pretty big advocate of how the splits have changed the last 2 years with Lamar and Henry and them actually becoming positively correlated. Like it's not like Hurts and Barkley where they negatively cannibalize each other because Lamar doesn't run inside the 5 at all anymore. Like he had like 1 or 2 design runs or whatever. And all the rushing touchdowns that he scores are from deeper out. And like Henry was catching more passes than ever. So yeah, I mean, I think it actually is decently positively correlated even more. So it's like the discount version of Cook and Allen that we just saw go in round 1 and 2.
Yeah. I love this. So we go CeeDee Lamb, Derrick Henry, Breece Hall, Lamar Jackson to start. We're heavily backweighted on buys. Ravens 13, Jets 13, CeeDee Lamb 14. And then we try to kind of replicate the Josh Allen Cook team we looked at, the Daniel Jones, Jonathan Taylor, and we get a nice price on Lamar relative to his weekly winners ADP at pick 40. Yeah. He's still 15 picks ahead of his BBM ADP, but in this format, I do think it's justified.
And now I would probably say we can, we don't have to force it, but I would definitely say we're probably all good at quarterback.
Wow, Nez is tantalized by those. Well, the one thing we could do, Nez, would be like if we did have, I don't know, a DK Metcalf to take advantage of that Aaron Rodgers price we're looking at. I know how to pander to the panel.
You fucking sold him that pen so fast.
He was like, oh yeah, actually 2 QBs. Yep, love it.
Well, forgot about the chart. Forgot about how cheap. If we're up at pick 16, 17, or 18, and those guys are there, they're way more likely to matter.
That's like, hey, well, what if we just added Jaylen Warren to this team? How would you feel about that, Nez?
What those viral videos
Darnell Washington? Does that make it move for you, big fella?
You ever see those viral videos of people like saying their dog's favorite words, but not to them? Like they're on the phone. They're like, yeah, I think I might go to the park later and go for a ride. And like the dog's like, huh? That's how I felt.
So funny. Fantasy Football Garage says in the chat, is maturing just realizing the boomers were right? I think the maturing is illustrated through kind of like the Sam Sherman lineup, is that there's good takes on both sides, and that where you dig in your heels with one, ideological stance is what actually sinks you. And it's the yin and the yang, and willing to draft the boomers with Luther Burden, willing to draft Derrick Henry with Luther Burden, finding that happy balance of what we're trying to accomplish with rosters. To me, that's where the maturity comes in.
I'd agree with you in a best ball and fantasy football landscape. In a life landscape, I fully agree with the statement.
Right.
Just realizing how fucking right my dad's always been. It's just like, yeah, he was right. I should never have pushed back.
They're wrong about a lot of stuff too. Let's see here. Bucky Irving, Jadarian Price, Christian Watson. I was going to say let's buy week 11.
Yeah, let's shoot some moon shooters here.
Yeah, this is a weekly winner's ass pick right there.
And would you guys say, like, again, if we get a good price, we're not just going to blindly X them out, but this is probably a spot we're avoiding the Carnell Tates and Jordan Tysons with this type of build?
I would think so, yeah. I mean, price would be a little bit of a different story there, but yes, in the Cardinal Tate one for sure.
I guess my thought would be too, and again, it's probably being overly precise, but just being like, hey, theoretically, those guys are going to be really coming on week 11, week 13, week 14, and to not have one of our top 5 picks for those weeks where they're really coming on, it seems to kind of go against a little bit what we're trying to do here. Yeah.
Can we go running back for a second?
Ramondre by week 11 ain't bad.
Yeah, I don't really like it for weekly winners, but it's okay.
We could do a Rome week 10.
Tyler Warren's a bring back on. I'm good with Rome.
I like Warren.
Okay.
All right. Tyler Warren week 13 as well. What's the bring back, John?
Week 1 against Baltimore.
Okay. Oh, sick.
Yeah.
There you go.
I was really wanted Tootin there. That kind of threw me for a loop getting sniped on him, but that's all right.
Yep.
Jalen Warren will be there on the next pick. Oh, never mind. Spoke too soon. Through 6 rounds, we got a 1-2-2-1. Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, Breece Hall, CeeDee Lamb, Christian Watson, Tyler Warren. So certainly with a build here where you can see the ceiling at every position.
Can we forecast like a Tyler Warren, poor man's like Pitts or Loveland vibe for a right tail outcome at a discounted price? You know what I mean? Like I'm pattern matching to some of those rosters we saw last year where it's like Michael Pittman's gone now. People want to anoint Josh Downs. Alec Pierce has always been a one-trick pony. Like, what if Tyler Warren just wins over the middle of the field and gets 4 carries and he has those right tail spike weeks, right?
100%. Like he's totally worthy of going earlier, for sure. Like when Danny Dimes was healthy, Warren was cooking, man. And like you said, like they just took out Michael Pittman there. I can't name you the wide receiver 3 on the Colts right now. This is absolutely like such a smash spot for Tyler Warren.
Dante Fountain for the 17th year in a row on the practice squad.
Is that real?
Is Ashton Doolin still on the roster?
Yeah, Ashton Doolin. That's another comp. That's a good one. I don't know. Google it. I'm actually curious now.
Nick Westbrook-Akine. I knew. And Ashton Doolin is there. Dude, this is like a who's who of graveyard wide receivers. Laquan Treadwell, Anthony Gold. I remember drafting that guy in a dynasty league when the Bears drafted him. Ashton Doolin.
That's right.
But NWI, man, he
that's what Alec Pierce is for.
I know. Yeah.
Dude, honestly,
I guess.
Shout out Laquan Treadwell for staying around this long after being like a busted first rounder.
2016, dude. This is his 10-year anniversary of being a first round pick.
Unbelievable.
Wow. He got tenure in the NFL. That's insane.
Look at this haircut too, man.
Wow. He's locked. He's dialed in, man.
This is some Matthew Slater ass run here.
Dude, bleaching your hair at 30. That's crazy.
I will just say here, guys, DK Metcalf, because the final pick of this draft is preordained. Just saying. The running back options who would also fit here. I think Tony Pollard week 9 bye really fits what we're trying to do. I would say Warren or Metcalf.
I'm good with Pollard, Warren, or Metcalf. I'd pick Metcalf, I think.
Who's Warren?
Oh,
sorry, I meant Pollard or Metcalf.
Pollard.
Okay.
Pollard. Yeah.
Who do you like, John?
Pollard's cool.
All right. We'll do Pollard. We can always do the Jeremy Bernard, Aaron Rodgers backstack. Rest assured.
Don't worry. Hey, we can take another tight end. Darnell Washington will be there.
That's true.
Oh shit, we took Pollard? Okay.
Why
you literally said Pollard and I agreed.
I was like confirming that Pete mispronounced Warren by saying he meant Pollard.
I did, and then I was split, and I knew John
Okay.
wanted Metcalf, and so I let Nez.
Okay. There we go.
Yeah, sorry. There was
we're
some
good.
miscommunication there. I like Pollard for weekly winners. I think
cool.
that's totally fine.
Yeah.
I think either we're fine.
Yeah, so we have Lamar, we have Henry, Breece Hall, and Pollard at running back, CeeDee Lamb, Christian Watson at wide receiver, Tyler Warren at tight end. I think this to me looks like a spot to pull up a wide receiver we like here. If you like a QJ, a Jaden Reed,
You don't like Harvey
Godwin
here?
Harvey could work. You like Harvey?
I mean, that's my choice, but you guys pick. That's just my.
I'd take Reed or QJ.
You guys pick.
Let's do Harvey. We'll let Nez get these two, John, and then you and I will.
Yeah, I'll hands off.
We'll try it. I struggled with. Well, let's talk it through because I like Jaden Reed, but if we're not taking Jordan Love, how do we feel about two kind of premium pass catchers unstacked in this format?
Yeah, probably not great. I mean, betting on a team's like not bad. Like, and I guess we were outspoken about not taking Love, but I would have entertained Love at like a slight discount or whatever if it came back to us.
Yeah.
Jaden Reed seems like a good weekly winners pick. Would have been totally fine. I just think the upside of Harvey is like, yeah, to me, that's just like that's a smash.
Man, we've talked a lot about like the schedule and like winners and losers from like week 15 through 17 kind of vibes. And like I threw Green Bay in that bucket because of like the Texans and that outdoor game at Soldier Field and whatever. The beginning of Green Bay's schedule could be really fun. Like at Vikings, at Jets, Atlanta at home, at Tampa Bay, Chicago at home, Dallas at home, at Detroit. Like those could be, I mean.
Yeah. That's a really fun first half right there.
Yeah.
Go AZ Cards had asked in the chat if, even though we had Lamar, how far would Dak have to fall to stack him with CD? He went at pick 86. I feel like he would have had to have fallen like all the way back to 105 to even consider it for this build.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yep, for sure.
I think it's that thing we were talking about with that Josh Allen roster that had the 4 tight ends where it's just like, okay, like this is the play you made. How do I make it work now? And I think it's just probably too much of a sacrifice to spend that much on QB2 when you're really trying to battle back at running back and wide receiver.
I'm
exactly
tapping in on Shady's roster there. So he opted for the Tate thing. He did the discount Bucky, just thinking like, CLV, I guess, if he's ready to go early. And then goes
Naked Mahomes. Who saw that coming from a kick user?
Yeah.
What?
These guys are gonna have 80% Patrick Mahomes. I tell you what.
Tyquan Thornton down there somewhere.
They better hope that they've like worked out the Davis Maddock jinx there being on the same side with him this year, because we're gonna take out a lot of good people here if we're not careful.
I don't know if that binary input is in The Sims. I'm not sure.
Yeah, please add the Davis Maddock mush to The Sims.
Oh,
if there's anyone smart enough to put the Maddock mush in The Sims, it's Shady.
Josh Downs week 13 I like a lot.
Downs or Pearsall?
Yeah, Downs I like better, I think.
All right. John and I finally get one from our.
Yeah, I forgot. I wasn't
co-host.
supposed to say anything.
You're allowed to say stuff, but we just needed the satisfaction of.
It also gives us an overstack in that week 1 game that we're building around.
Good call.
Oh, yeah.
Good call. Good call. Yeah, I just I don't want to influence you guys too much. I know I got the convincing voice here.
Yeah. Seth says he likes the 4-hole, which is so you think you can tout top 10 finalist Neil Farley here. He's got a Puka, Omar Hampton, Jeremiah Love, Igbuka, DeAndre Swift, Hertz, Lemon, QJ, Addison. There you go. Farley saw the value on the Addison slide. Thank you, sir.
Brooks,
Chris Rodriguez, Casey Concepcion, Wandell Robinson, Romeo Dobbs. What do you guys think?
Wandell.
By week 9 for Wandell. Yeah, I would say him. Yeah, that looked good to me.
Yep.
And we do like the early season produce thing and then back weight. They have some overlap with the Green Bay schedule. They have some overlap with our Jets pick in Brees. Yeah. Might be getting a little too scheduled pilled with that, but I don't know, man. Like Wandell commanded so many targets in a Dayball offense there. Like, what if Tate's just like a little bit of a late bloomer and he's a big Dayball's like a big trust his guys guy. So he brought him over there for good reason. And then he also did the same thing with Singletary in the past. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, Wandell's a good pick, man. Yeah, he's a good pick. Like, there's nothing controversial about him right now. I think he's underpriced.
Lamar Jackson at quarterback, Tyler Warren at tight end for the onesies, and then 4 running backs, Henry, Breece Hall, Pollard, and RJ Harvey, and then 4 wide receivers, CeeDee Lamb, Christian Watson, Josh Downs, Wandell Robinson. I like how this build's shaking out.
I know who Eggers is going to pick here. I just need to see him do it so I can just laugh about it. This picker is next pick. Well, I know who he's going to take, but
who?
We'll see. Okay,
Eggers.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like, well, he goes Bill. That's Bill's a really good pick there. That's a really nice value.
Okay, too much Eggers glaze.
That's just a Bill. I'm just complimenting Bill here.
I'm sure you guys have discussed it. If I missed it, have we gotten a number of how many platinum badges there are, the highest 100,000 drafts? Have you guys figured out how many that is?
Yeah,
do we know?
I think, yeah, the drafts account tweeted it out. I can find the tweet for you, but I think it's 23 platinums, 23 or 27
diamonds,
23 diamonds, and 43 purples, something like that, or 47 purples. One's a 7.
What color are you guys?
Purple.
That's sore subject for John. I'm diamond.
I've convinced myself that it's more unique, Pete, to be purple.
But John, like you're the touch grass, smell the roses guy. Like you're sacrificing volume, so you can't really have a chip on your shoulder about that.
That's true. I still just thought I had done enough volume to be over 100,000 for sure.
100,000's a big ass number, man.
Yeah. I don't know. Awood in the Discord was like, "Are we sure we only want it to be 100,000?" I was like, "Dude, come on! Like you're so sick." He's like, "Is it just me or is it easy to get to 100,000?"
Bro, the site's been up for 5 years and there's only 20 something people.
Shady would like to clarify that he's multi-tabling 6 of these. I'm sure top clicking, but he does say your alt format streams are some of the only days to get back-to-back fast liquidity in them. There you go.
Awesome.
Back on the clock here. I do like a little Stephon Diggs potentially if he signs somewhere.
I like Diggs or Ferg.
I like Diggs.
Okay,
let's do Diggs here. I think we're now even on the co-host scorecard for pick selections.
We always agree on Diggs.
Speaking of co-host, while Neil's in the draft here and maybe he's watching and we have his ear, I thought he did a very good job there with Tony. I thought that was a really good submission in the duos.
Yeah, as did we. Highest score across the board there with Silva and Levitan and for our internal team as well. It was certainly
like I would actually watch that.
Exactly. And I think everyone, we've been talking about it last night and everything, but everybody kind of really over-indexed on the bits in the entertainment and stuff. And they kind of were just like, what would be a show that we could do? And I think they had a lot of success with it. What do you guys like here?
Coker seems spiky. So does Juwan Jennings. I'm good with either of those. Keaton Mitchell, I like as well.
Coker or Jennings for me.
All right, let's do the Coke head. We will break our post week 9 bye week, line of defense here and add a week 5 Jalen Coker.
We even kept it strong with Diggs there because he's going to be week 11 when he lands in Atlanta.
This is a strong endorsement. Go Easy Card says, my wife doesn't care about football, and she liked the Tony and Neil submission the best, which is really strong just because it was like a ball knower, stat heavy type submission. What other takes did you guys have from the duo episode?
I just couldn't stop thinking, like, could Nez and I win this or not? Like, I was like, these are some strong ass submissions. I'm not sure we're that good. I don't know. Like,
I can't believe you're going to give Eggers the opportunity to weigh in on that hypothetical in the chat. That's a crazy move by you, John.
We know the answer from Eggers already, but no, I think the takes were very strong in terms of like, the production value goes like a long way. So like Neil just doing the charts and them having good equipment and then putting something on went far enough than like cut together, spliced together. Like they were very two stylistically different things. And I don't think we need another dude with a backwards hat and a tank top shilling, best ball picks, right? Like we don't need that. We need like some kind of hybrid of what was all going on there. And the stuff that was like the most digestible was like not the stuff that was so far down the rabbit hole. But I understand why people did it because they wanted to differentiate themselves in such a good way, right? But like the Goofy Chicken editing stuff was like phenomenal. Like that was phenomenal, but it was not what you were looking for a football show necessarily. Like, is it repeatable? So I gravitated to the repeatable stuff.
In some respects, now that we've had a lot of time to digest it and feedback, in some respects, it's like, people wanted like more concrete, this is what you should do or whatever. But I do really think content in general, right? Like it ultimately is an expression of who you are, what you like doing. Do you make something with your partner that excites both of you? Because the premise the thought would be that you wouldn't put something out that at least didn't excite one of you in a pretty big way. So I do think the ambiguity was good for the variety. I think it was just a shock on how many of them went into the bit lane. Like I think I would have guessed maybe one or two of them would have done that. I wouldn't have realized or guessed that it was like 4 or 5 of them who would have done that. I do want to talk about the prisoner's dilemma thing in a second. Greg asked that in the chat, but let's make a couple of picks here. We got a 1-4-6-1 here. The solver likes Daniel Jones.
Could we look tight end?
Like what? Yeah, tight end. We're looking at TJ Hawkinson, Barner, Schultz, Njoku.
I think Hawk's fine.
Yeah.
Get Hawk in here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like Hawk or Schultz stand out to me as like, we're probably going to want at least 3 on this build. And
I could even go for like Kate Otten too, but I do think that we should probably, I don't know, like we can look at some of these other positions, but I think tight end was pretty important to load up with.
Is there any merit to, we've talked about the overstacking and all this sort of stuff. Is there any merit to like guys who cannibalize first round picks? So like you boost your roster by saying Justin Jefferson doesn't get the touchdowns this week. Yeah. TJ Hawkinson does, or like whatever.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Also, I'm very open to considering Daniel Jones here stacked with Warren at this price. 15th round. My thought again is if we're winning weekly winners, like this story, it checks out for me. It's a week where the big dog goes nuts and Lamar is kind of muted. And then we're going to need the big week from our tight end who we took at 64. Does Daniel Jones come along for the ride that week, scores or, throws 3 to 4 touchdowns? That at least checks out for me.
I like it. And there's a little bit of contrarian notion in putting 2 bye week quarterbacks together because people won't want to like sacrifice a week, even though it's like totally fine in weekly winners.
Yeah. Oh, and downs. Yeah. Thank you, Ghost. For that.
I mean, effectively, this is a rip-off version of like the Joey Bag roster where he was like, Buffalo and Baltimore is that game week 1. He only did it with 1 quarterback, but 4 upper echelon running backs, and then just overstacking all the options thereafter and made it a 4 tight end team.
Yep.
Yeah. Dimes made a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
Real quick on this, Greg says, can you opine on the prisoner's dilemma decision? Seems like the only choice was to axe the Canadian bro, and he blew it. I actually think both of them played it optimally for how this specific prisoner's dilemma worked, because Brian knew, and again, this is hard for them to game out in 60 seconds. It's literally, a very famous dilemma that gets talked about because of the game theory implications. But Brian knew if he went to a fan vote, he was going to beat Zach in a fan vote. So for him, the defending was actually like winning. Like it seemed like a 2-leg parlay when it's like, oh, it just gets you to the dance, but then you still have to win. I feel pretty confident Hartman would have beat Zach in a thing. So for him, that gave him the out. Whereas if he cuts and Zach cuts, they're both removed. Now for Zach, he knows as well, he's going to lose in a fan vote to Harmon. And so his only chance to survive is if Hartman defends and he cuts. So the way they both played it, I honestly think was optimal based on how, if you agree with my premise of the fan vote.
Yeah. Did they know who was voting first?
No, no, they did, because I brought them both on, and then I told them real quick, like, stay in here. I'm going to DM you to come back on. And it was literally like 2 minutes. And I said, come back in here. And we did them back to back right away.
Interesting. I think Nez would win the fan vote.
Oh, if you guys were both put to a fan vote?
Yeah.
Dez would beat you at a fan vote or write-in like the Cups Rambus for sure. Sorry, John.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would definitely shield, like, for sure, like, regardless of situation.
Yeah. Like a Tank Bigsby week 10 potentially.
Wide receiver Otten.
Otten's
gone. Any wide receiver.
Sorry, I just like I
No, it's all right.
Bigsby because that was the guy I saw. Also, I had the John thing in my head too of like, okay, if the Barkley stuff is not going down as like a round 1-2 turn pick, like how can our team be cooking? But let's get
at least it wasn't Emmett Johnson and or Mike Washington.
I wasn't gonna do a rookie.
Yeah. So the wide receivers here, like Ted Hurst, I know everybody's like really excited about right now. They think he's like starting X and really good, all that stuff.
What about Mooney with all of the FUD around Neighbors? They're signing wide receivers left and right.
I like Mooney.
Yeah. I'm okay with it. Was Keyshawn Boutte a winner by not getting traded?
I still think he gets traded. It's just a matter of where.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
It's funny, like back here, there aren't a lot of like fast start veteran wide receivers. I feel like Mooney kind of fits the bill.
Sure.
Yeah. And then we have like a ton of Ravens rookies that we can pick from too, if we feel like it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Is it, I was just going to ask, is there any credence to like, because we're drafting weekly winners so early right now, that just taking all 4 of like the CLV potential guys would be it? And you just take like Keenan Allen, Tyreek Hill, and then in the last round, you just take, I had one more in my mind, like one of those Giants guys, like Juju or Odell or something like that.
I mean, I would just do Darius Slayton other than those 2 vets that just signed.
Yeah.
But no, I think that's like totally like viable at this stage of weekly winners. Some Instalytics. Keenan Allen on stories, working out, sprinting. I believe he was in LA. He was sprinting around a bunch of concrete, but I think he lives out there. But he's training and getting ready to make a return.
Mm-hmm.
Just a matter of where.
He cut his beard yet?
I don't know. I didn't look. He was kind of in the distance and he was sprinting.
I think it would help Dunscap GMs think he's younger than he is by trimming it up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like he's already got the chrome dome.
Yeah.
He already looks like a little older than he is. Like, maybe just, dial that thing in a little bit, just streamline it. And people will think like, oh man, he's looking lean.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he could probably add an extra $1 million on his contract if he just like trim that thing up a little bit.
Have you ever heard of the red helmet thesis?
No.
So you pretend that you played on like some other junior team or something like that you got red buckets assigned to you. So you're the only kid on the ice with a red bucket at a tryout for another team. And then they instantly notice like, who's the kid in the red bucket? Because everybody else got black helmets on, white helmets on. You stand out. This is the Keenan Allen beard thesis.
2 more picks here, round 17, 18. Let's see. There is like some stacking stuff with Rashad Bateman, Justice Hill here. You got a wide receiver you like.
I'm actually super down with either of those.
Surratt or Wicks. That's my...
Or Wicks. Yeah, Wicks is fine.
All right, let me do Wicks. Also, let me just toss one out. This is a guy like I never want to take in BBM, but like a Tongas in if we're playing early season stuff for winners.
Yeah, I like the Tongas one for early. That schedule is actually pretty nice too. You know, they get Rams, Miami, Arizona. Like they could have some fun games to start there. But I was also floating a contingent bet that kills some other teams. What about Michael Mayer?
Like play a contingent like Bowers injury, or do you think they're standalone there?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're standalone.
Dude, I'll throw out that I think it's crazy that Bryce Young is available at pick 208 on a team we have Coker. Like, I'll just say it.
I'd agree with you. I'm not sure we need it, but I think.
I mean, isn't there a higher chance that Bryce Young does something for this team than Rashad Bateman?
Yes.
And what if I read you a news bomb that was Tedaroy McMillan remains idle with foot injury, Jalen Coker to the moon?
Take Bryce.
All right, let's go.
All right, let's do it.
It's an 18th round pick.
Yeah, I mean, in hindsight, it's like knowing Bryce Young is there. It's like, you know, who do we flip Daniel Jones to at pick 160? I guess I think the quarterback values are starting to look pretty good in this format to me.
Yeah. Where you can kind of like cope with the Bryce pick too is like, well, we have Lamar and Derrick Henry, so we're playing both sides. You know, it's either you know, it could be both, could be one, could be the other. So we have Bryce Young. Like if Jalen Coker scores 30 and Bryce Young scores 30, the EV of the team is probably pretty effing high.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Let me recap the final roster here. We can see how we did. Ended up with a 3-5-8-2. Fun draft in that, like, we executed some of the ideas we wanted to going in and then got thrown some curveballs as well. Lamar Jackson, Daniel Jones, Bryce Young at quarterback. I will mention Bryce Young, ADP of 170. We get him at pick 208. 5 running backs: Derrick Henry, Breece Hall, Tony Pollard, RJ Harvey, and Tank Bigsby. Bigsby was a bit of a panic pick, but I think works in on this team. CeeDee Lamb, Christian Watson, Josh Downs, Wan'Dale Robinson, Stephon Diggs, Jalen Coker, Darnell Mooney, and Dontavian Wicks. I guess if there's one spot that looks kind of weak, it's Warren and Hawkinson. Maybe we flip like a Bigsby to a third tight end, ideally. But what do you guys think about this one?
I think it's pretty strong for our first go at it. I think we executed some of the overstacking. We isolated some of the schedule stuff in the early part of the season that we could like or we think we'll like. I do agree that a third tight end probably would have done more for us than maybe even a third quarterback would have. But yeah, I think it's pretty good. I think it was a first good go effort. I think the biggest takeaway, though, is what you alluded to with the quarterback stuff there is people are prioritizing roster spots over second and third quarterbacks in their builds here.
Yeah, that's just like something to like think about in the future. If you're reverse engineering a build, you're going to likely have options there. Just like be aware of who they are. And then, you know, kind of have stack partners there accordingly, or just draft them naked because they're so cheap at that point. It actually like doesn't really matter. For our teams here, I really like this team. I'm okay with only 2. Like I would have preferred a third tight end, but getting Warren as the tight end here and it's stacked, I think is like a really clean thesis. I love the running back room, man. Like even with like the Bigsby pick, obviously just makes it stronger. I think the running back room is super solid. We are telling ourselves we're going to flex somebody from this running back room. And then at wide receiver, you know, it's CD, it's Watson. And then we have like a ton of like really like good or pretty serviceable wide receivers around them to like be on the field, catch a touchdown, score like 12 points for us, 15 points for us, whatever it is. You know, we're not asking for much. We're saying you just need to be a wide receiver 3 on this team. Yeah, no, I see it with this team. Like I see it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it is I do as well too. And it's like, yeah, I think this team is, it's putting a lot into that Jones stack, right? Because it's like we need that. There was an opportunity cost in retrospect on the Jones pick. Tyler Warren's our one main tight end with a legit ceiling. So we're going to probably need that stack to hit and then have everything come together.
Yeah, I think the one thing that you could nitpick, I suppose, is be like, hey, like, don't take Lamar and do something else there just because of the way that it came together. But, we kind of got gifted that Colts stack. And yeah, I still think this team is really good.
I still like the Lamar.
Yeah, you could have done Ted Arroyo. And then you have, again, we would have taken Bryce Young a lot earlier, most likely in that scenario anyways, or done like a Devontae. I mean, there were ways to do it, but that is like, it's why you got to get in there and get a few under your belt. So you get to get the feel for it. Let's see here. We have Strammy here with a little super chat drafted with us out of the 4 spot. Looking for
out of the 5.
He said 4, but it is actually 5 because I was like, that's Neil. Yeah, he said sorry, 5th. Okay.
Let's see. He wants a little feedback here. Joe Burrow, Bo Nix, CJ Stroud. So some quarterback capital there. Pretty weak running back room to my eyes. CMC, Gainwell, Jonah Coleman, Woody Marks. Wide receivers, Higgins, Waddle, Harrison, Sutton, Godwin, Higgins, Tank Dell, Franklin, Noel. I'm about to scroll down. I really hope there's an elite tight end here because it feels like this team's missing an early round pick.
I think it's Trey.
It's Trey. Let me move the comment there. So yeah, Trey McBride. This running back room, guys, I don't know if it can get it done.
No, I think it's a little too thin. Even if you think Bucky misses like the first couple weeks, or the health is worse than he's letting on, like Gainwell's still like split committee. Coleman's like late season. Woody Marks is like, does he catch a couple passes and get 7 carries? I think you need to win the running back position and or the flex position harder with the touchdown scoring like we saw in some of those other lineups that we were looking at. Like the teams that we looked at earlier that had 4 running backs, those teams were loaded. Henry, Cook, Hampton, Justice Hill. So it was like an onslaught of one game. But like, yeah, I think you really need, the biggest thing I've noticed is you need those 30 balls from the running backs to give you, that's the floor for competing in weekly winners, is like you have to nail the 2 running backs, right? It's kind of like it's like our weekly drafts there. It's like if you miss on the 2 chalk running backs that put up 28 and those are the 2 high scoring running backs, like you're fighting for 400th place instantly.
Yeah, I think too much QB capital spent here. And for the running back room looking like this, like, yeah, if you hit the parlay of like Bucky being out and Jonah Coleman overtaking the running back room, and like, okay, cool, you're safe there. I could be nitpicking, but like I need more ceiling from this wide receiver room if the running back room is going to look like that.
Sure.
Personally, like I would have expected this wide receiver room to look better.
I think it's and it's we should mention it's an extremely correlated team. I mean, Nix, Waddle, Sutton, Franklin, mega stack there. CJ Stroud, Woody Marks, Jaden Higgins, Tank Dell, Jalen Knoll, Joe Burrow, T. Higgins. I mean, that is to me, I wonder if the pendulum swung a little too far in the stacking direction on it.
To his credit, also, they're all game stacks from the first couple weeks. So Cincinnati plays Tampa Bay, Cincinnati plays Houston. So he goes onslaught of those.
Right.
So it was like well thought out and onslaughting around, what he was trying to execute was like decently attempted. I think it's still just missing a little bit of the front loaded running back scoring.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And again, like, we could have this conversation about the ADPs and the macro trends and traditional best ball too. But like, we're all like very anchored now to this idea of how important these early running back prices are. And, we're kind of mapping it out that it'll look similar. That's what ADP reflects. But like, obviously there's room this year for, 0 RB stuff to hit, and Bucky's out. Now Gainwell's cooking. Someone mentioned the chat, Dobbins goes down. All of a sudden, Jonah Coleman, like, could you hit the perfect 0 RB storm and supercharge a wide receiver heavy team like that? Absolutely. And that's what I do think it would be fun. I would like to build out some late season 0 RB teams in weekly winners and kind of capitalize on, how everyone else is drafting.
Yeah.
All right, fellas. John, you running? You said you're running a members only here today.
Yep, I got to capitalize on these next couple days that I can still get shows in before we go away there. So yeah, I will be out here for the people. I think it's 11 games on the baseball slate there, some overlap with yesterday. So walk through that, and then Stanley Cup Final starts tonight. So we have the salary-based contest in the lobbies, and it's only $3 instead of $5 or $7. So more inviting to those who are going to be taking in puck potentially for the first time this year just by watching the Stanley Cup Finals tonight. So. Yeah, we'll walk through some of the values and, just what I kind of think that's going to play out like as well. But mainly just drafts and vibes for the next hour.
How many shows are you missing? Off and on the clock shows are you missing, John?
2, I think.
2. Next 2. Gotcha. Cool, man. Well, enjoy your trip.
Thank you.
Nez, what do you got going here?
I got to run after this, pick up my wife's car from the dealership. And then I'm going to be drafting baseball after the fact. But tomorrow for the NBA heads, be on the lookout for a salary cap contest for game 1. I believe that is in the works and should be available for us to draft. I'm not sure about the prize pool or anything, but we will have some drafts for game 1. It will be salary based. So I'm really excited about that. Good stuff today, guys. It was fun.
Yeah, very fun. Like I said, I think Nez and I will try to book someone to talk some soccer next week, get in one last kind of look at the World Cup. I would love to get some action in before all of that commences. So you can look forward to that. I have the Swolecast today at 3 p.m. Eastern, Ship Chasing tomorrow, Best Ball Bash Thursday, all that good stuff. Still need to book after dark. If you guys ever have suggestions for people you'd like to see, hit us up. Otherwise, we will see you guys around here. And then make sure you guys are subscribed to the Badge Bros channel, become a YouTube member, get access to all of those premium members only subs. One of these days, these guys will wise up and raise the price of the membership. So take advantage of it now before they get smart and realize that they are overvaluing or undervaluing their services there on the members only. All right, guys. Peace. Good luck in the weekly winners. We'll see you next time.